What hurts more than heartbreak? Betrayal, especially when it comes from the two people you trusted most. Welcome to Tears and Truth, where raw confessions reveal the heartbreaks hidden behind perfect smiles. Some stories shake you, but this one, it will haunt you. This is not just a story about love. It's about betrayal, loss, and healing in silence. Because sometimes, the ones you call family are the ones who leave the deepest scars. This story begins just 1 week before what should have been the happiest day of my life. My wedding day that I had everything planned, down to the shade of roses in my bouquet and the song my dad would walk me down the aisle to. After 2 years of dating, Alex finally proposed. It was everything I'd ever wanted. We weren't perfect, no couple is, but I loved him. I trusted him. And as for my best friend, Tessa, she was more like a sister. We'd been inseparable since high school. She was my maid of honor. She helped me pick my dress, organize the bridal shower, and even cried during my engagement toast. I had no idea she was crying because of guilt. The week before the wedding was a whirlwind. Final fittings, last-minute menu changes, guests flying in. I was exhausted but happy. Alex was busy too. He said work was overwhelming, but I didn't question it. Looking back, I wish I had. The night before the wedding, Tessa stayed over. We drank wine, laughed, even went over our vows. I remember telling her, "Tomorrow, everything changes." She hugged me tightly and whispered, "Yes, it does." I thought she was being sentimental, but that hug, that was her goodbye. The church was packed with friends and family, everyone dressed in their best. My mom fluffed my veil one last time while my dad nervously adjusted his tie. The pianist began to play "Can't Help Falling in Love." The exact moment I had imagined since I was a little girl. I was standing just beyond the doors, holding my bouquet so tight I could feel the stems digging into my palm. My heart was pounding, not with fear, but excitement. This was it, my moment. Then, the whispers started. A man in a black suit walked quickly up the aisle and whispered something to the officiant. His face changed, like all the color had drained from it. Then someone pulled my father aside, and my mother. I waited, half hidden behind the doorway, trying to hear what was happening to them. My stomach tightened. Something was wrong. When my father returned, he looked like someone had knocked the wind out of him. He stepped toward me slowly and placed his hands on my shoulders. "He's not coming," he said softly. I laughed. I actually laughed, thinking this had to be a joke. Alex was always late. Maybe he'd lost track of time. Maybe he was just down the street. But the look in my father's eyes didn't waver. And when I turned to my mom, she was crying, quietly, without a word. That's when the truth hit me like a freight train. I wasn't getting married. I had been stood up, abandoned, left at the altar. The guests sat in stunned silence. My bridesmaids didn't know what to do. They looked from one another to me, frozen. But one person was missing from the chaos. Tessa, my best friend, my maid of honor. She had disappeared. Her clutch was gone. Her phone was off, and she never came back that day. The walk out of the church felt like the longest walk of my life. I wasn't the blushing bride anymore. I was the girl who got left, still wearing my white dress, still holding the bouquet, but no longer holding a future. 3 days later, I saw my cousin sent me a screenshot from Instagram. Tessa's private story had leaked. There they were, Alex and Tessa, in white, holding hands, at a beachside resort. They had gotten married. Not later, not next month, but the same day as mine. The date on the post? June 10th. My wedding day. It was like being punched in the chest. Repeatedly. Couldn't breathe. I couldn't scream. How? When? Had they been sneaking around behind my back? Was anything real? I went through my texts with Tessa. All the late-night calls she made when I thought she was heartbroken from her breakup with someone else. All the advice she gave me when Alex and I argued. I realized she had been twisting things, fueling our fights, slowly pulling him toward her. That I wasn't just betrayed. I was used. After the wedding that never was, the world kept spinning. But mine stopped. That I didn't leave my apartment for days, then weeks. The once bright bridal gown I had hung up so proudly now looked like a cruel joke. It still hung on the back of my door, unworn, untouched, a reminder of everything that fell apart in a single moment. Friends texted. Some called. I ignored them all. Because what do you say after something like that? How do you explain that your fiancé left you for your best friend? On your wedding day, I became the girl everyone whispered about. The one who got humiliated in a white dress. People around me picked sides like it was a high school breakup. Some blamed Alex, called him a coward. Some blamed Tessa, labeled her a snake. But worst of all, some quietly blamed me. She must have pushed him away. Didn't she notice the signs? There must have been something wrong with her. Those words didn't just sting. They burrowed. I began to question everything. Not just them, but myself. My worth, my instincts, my ability to trust. The worst part wasn't losing Alex. It wasn't even losing Tessa. It was losing my sense of self. The girl I used to be. Confident, lighthearted, full of plans. She had gone silent. Therapy became a lifeline. It wasn't pretty. I cried through the first few sessions, barely able to speak. But I kept going. And somewhere between the anger and the numbness, I started writing again, just small things. Journal entries, thoughts, pain on paper. Then one day, I walked into my closet and stared at that wedding dress. Not with tears this time, but with resolve. That I didn't throw it out. That I donated it. Because I didn't want to carry that version of myself anymore. That I moved to a new city a few months later. Far away from the chapel. Far away from the whispers. Far away from the place that became a graveyard for my dreams. That I wasn't healed. But I was breathing again. Some nights, I still cried. But I was no longer crying because I was broken. I was crying because I had survived something that could have destroyed me. And that survival, that was the beginning of me coming back to life. 2 years passed. Then one night, I got an email from a name I hadn't seen in years. Tessa. She wrote a long message. She said she wasn't looking for forgiveness, just needed me to know the truth. They had been seeing each other for 5 months before the wedding. She claimed it started as an emotional connection, that Alex would confide in her whenever we fought, that it turned into something more. She never meant to fall in love with him. He chose me, she wrote, but I lost something more valuable, your friendship, and I live with that every day. I stared at the message. No reply. No anger, just silence. Because